Hello and welcome back to 33 Conversations. Today we've got a very special guest and we're going to have a very special episode. There's some moments in life that happen that take you back and you hear someone's story and you want to level up the way that you share it. And that's today. I want to introduce you to Stan. Stan is the co-founder of Project O5. Stan, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
No problem. It's my pleasure.
It's my pleasure too. So I'd like to read this. Stan, most people would introduce you by what you have survived: a child soldier, an intelligence operative, and a double agent. But what's more interesting to me is what you chose. You took a code name given to you by military intelligence O5 as a label that once meant an asset, a pawn, an instrument, and you rebuilt it into something that stands for art, music, and community and prevention. This isn't a story about extremism. It's a story about reclamation, authorship. And I would like to start here and have you share what transformation that you are in the middle of right now.
Yes, Michael, thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be talking to you. To start right off the bat, I would like to say that I was a child soldier. I was recruited when I was 17 years old by the Tamil Tigers, an terrorist organization in the eyes of the world. And after 4 years of ordeal and nightmares, I defected and joined the Sri Lanka's Directorate of Military Intelligence. The Sri Lanka's Directorate of Military Intelligence codenamed me O5, and they used me and my information to destroy, obliterate the Tamil Tigers once and for all by militarily by 2009. And they sent me to Canada not to live in peacefully, but to spy on the Tamil diaspora here in Canada, who were funding and arming and training, mainly funding and propaganda and procurement activities in Canadian soil. So I had to gather intelligence about my own people, and it went against my moral codes. I didn't feel right working with my own people and giving them about information to the agencies. During this time, the Canadian agencies, secret services also came in touch with me, saying that somebody wrote an anonymous letter about me being an operative in Canada. So I had to work with multiple agencies: Canadian Security Intelligence Service, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Sri Lankan State Intelligence Service, Military Intelligence Service, Professor Rohan Gunadna, Mr. Mohan Samarasinghe, Mahinda Gunasegara, many people, everything. I was living in a fear because my family was still living in Colombo, Sri Lanka. So I had to provide information as a currency to everybody's safety. It's not like I was getting paid for this information. I was an unpaid informant who was working for reclaim my identity and my citizenship and my safety of my family. That's why I was cooperating with these agencies. Even though it went against my moral and ethical beliefs, I didn't have a choice. I had to cooperate with these people to save myself and my family, you know.
Yeah,
And
because they took you at such a young age and indoctrinated you into this
the,
like split energy because you're dealing with both sides of the coin, right?
correct. I was playing with the both sides because after the Tamil Tiger, I defected from the Tamil Tigers. The Indian intelligence agency also came to help me, and one of the Indian intelligence top spy master, Mr. B. Raman, who came to see me in Colombo in 1997, he cleared my name from the past membership of the terrorist organization and gave me my passport and national identity card and birth certificate and made a clean slate. And she said, leave the country and go settle in Canada and marry somebody and move on with your life, and we will be in touch. It is not just the the erasing the slate. It's also about I was kind of used as an expert, the witness protection program. Under that program, they sent me to Canada because I gave some information that was so valuable to the Indian and Sri Lankan intelligence agencies. For instance, the audio cassette where LTT leader, the rebel group leader Prabhakaran, talked about how he plotting the assassination of Rajiv Gandhi, was recorded by my team, and I was part of that team because we were working as an intelligence operative for the Tamil Tigers. And so we had to record that conversation, and I stole that cassette and gave it to Ro. So that cassette basically saved my life. That audio cassette actually saved my life. Otherwise, the Sri Lankan intelligence wouldn't let me live. There's a saying that no spies are living in the world. Either way, at the end of the day, the spies are being eliminated. Anyway, either enemy countries hang them, or you are assassinated by the enemy or somebody else or third party. It's hard for any spies to live in the world unless otherwise you become reform and you change course and you reform yourself and change your way of living. That's what I did. I reclaimed my agency and I reclaimed my identity.
Yeah, you did. But how the hell did you do that with everything that how did you how did that not eat you up? Like it's hard for me to process listening to it and understanding how you got from all of that. Do you still carry that with you today?
I have a heavy burden on me. I live with the survivor guilt. I also suffer from a mental health struggle. I'm currently diagnosed with schizophrenia and psychosis. I take 15 different medication on a daily basis. If I don't take medications, I will have a relapse and I will have a withdrawal symptom. I can't sleep, I can't eat, I will have insomnia. I cannot function without the antipsychotic medications. This is all the burden that stem directly from the war and the experience from back home. And yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult not only the mental health, it's also your own community label you as traitor, because the Tamil community, they think that I betrayed their cause. For Tamil community, you are either survivor is not in their slate. Either you are martyr or the traitor. They
No in
call,
between.
there's no between. There's no between. Either you are a martyr or a traitor. Because I survived, they don't recognize me as a one of their own, because their measure is by death. They measure their the human being, the cause. They think that I betrayed their cause. So carrying that weight and living is not easy. The Tamil Tigers published my paper, my photo on their Tamil newspaper and said that this guy is wanted and he's a fraud and he's a fugitive and help us identify him and stuff like that. They ruined my reputation and the reputation of my entire family back home. So I carry that burden even today. You know,
I can feel
it's
it.
not easy, as we say. Everybody who went to war carry a illness like PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and bipolar, and schizophrenia, psychosis. It's as the time progress, the illness also progress and evolve. Medication doesn't work sometimes, so you have to increase your medication. Sometimes different psychiatrists diagnose with different illness. So it's not easy.
Thank you for sharing that. Um, do you have no contact with your family?
No,
Your family in India?
from Sri Lanka. I'm
From
from
Sri
Sri
Lanka.
Lanka.
Sorry. Sorry.
My family, I brought my parents and my siblings to Canada. They are living in Canada now, in Toronto. And my relatives are still living in back home. They are okay, but I brought my parents and my siblings to Canada when I came here. One by one, I sponsored them and I brought them here. So I'm in a regular touch with my siblings and my parents. And my father passed away in December 2024, and my mother is still living. She's struggling with the health conditions, but she's okay.
Are you still in danger?
Well, when you speak the truth, the Bible says truth will set you free. But in my community, when I speak the truth, the atrocities, the Tamil people still consider the Tamil Tigers as the saviors of their nation. But the Tamil Tigers, in my book, a bunch of terrorists. But some of the Tamil, not all of them, some majority of them are considering the Tamil Tigers fought for their freedom and they died for our future. But that is not the truth, because the Tamil Tigers killed more than the Sri Lankan government killed some intellectuals, but the Tamil Tigers eliminated more intellectuals than the Sri Lankan government did, or the government forces did. The Tamil Tigers assassinated Tamil intellectual one by one. Amadalingam, Selvanayam, Yo, Iswaran, Tirichelvam, one by one. Kadirhamar, and all the Tamil intellectuals are gone. There is a void, there's a power vacuum in my community that no leadership is there. The generation have been wiped out, because of the war. So
What were they fighting for? Like, what were they at war? Like, do you know? Like
yes,
what they told you, or like, do you know the truth of it? Like, what's the real reason?
the truth is a polarized kind of thing, because the truth is that uh, absolute certain that Sri Lankan successive chauvinistic Sri Lankan government continuously marginalized and discriminated the Tamil population, the minority Tamils. So after independence in 1948, the successive Sinhalese government saw the Tamils as having more advantage because they spoke English from the British imperialism. The British educated the Tamils because the Tamils live in the coastal areas, whereas the Sinhalese live in the inland. So the Tamil got the job in office and administrative positions, and everywhere the Tamils are in good position in bureaucratic areas. So the Sinhalese, when they became to power, they realized that the Sinhalese is being marginalized against Tamil. So there's no standardization. They introduced standardization of education, where they gave advantage to Sinhalese people to go to university. So at that time, the Tamil students saw that as a betrayal against their own population and their discrimination and marginalization. The Sinhalese government called it standardization, and the Tamils call it as a discrimination, treating as second-class citizens. Because one Tamil student, if he has to go to university for medical or engineering faculty, out of 400 marks, he has to get like 280. Whereas the Sinhalese student can get only 230 and go to the same faculty or same university. So this kind of discrimination is what led students took up arms and start fighting against the Sri Lankan government. And they fought for a separate homeland. They want to divide the country, So that is where the beginning of the started. The beginning of the conflict started like that. But in 1983, there was a huge Black July pogrom, and uh, riots erupted and Sinhalese thugs started attacking the Tamil people. The Tamil people left Sri Lanka to Western countries, and some of them cornered in the northern and eastern places, and they started attacking the Tamil businesses, Tamil intellectuals, the Sinhalese mobs funded by the government, the UNP government. That's the beginning of the conflict, and then the Tamil Tigers came into being, and they became a formidable force because they eliminated everybody else. Because during this time, the Western alignment is the peak of the Cold War. At that time, India was aligned with Russian alignment, and the Sri Lanka is more pro-Western foreign policy. So India didn't like in the neighborhood there is Americans and Western influence in the Indian Ocean, and Sri Lanka gave the harbors and the Voice of America's radio station, and American warships were anchored in Sri Lankan port. So India was kind of ticked off by the foreign policy of Sri Lanka. So the India started aiding the rebels, arming, funding, and training the rebels in southern India, and send them to fight against the Sri Lankan forces. So this is a geopolitical shift all of a sudden, 1983, 84, 85. So the conflict got intensified because of the foreign actors. And then there was assassination of Indira Gandhi in 1993. After that, Rajiv Gandhi came into power, Indira Gandhi's son, and he came to negotiate with the President Jayawardena at that time in 87, and they signed the Indo-Lanka Accord. According to the accord, the Tamil Tigers has to be disarmed. The Tamil Tigers refused, and they started fighting with the Indian forces and killed more than 1,000 Indian troops. Eventually, the Tamil Tigers signed a proposal with the Sri Lankan government to overthrow the Indian forces. Indian forces left, and then the same prime minister who was assigned signed that Indo-Lanka Accord were running for another term. During that time, Tamil Tigers saw him as a threat to their existence, and that's when they assassinated Indian Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi. And then following that, the India's intelligence service started a covert operation against the Tamil Tigers in northern eastern Sri Lankan parts of Sri Lanka. And
Yeah.
that's when I was involved in the Indian intelligence and start stealing information and providing them. And that came to be a defection from the LTT, and where I ended up in the Sri Lankan government intelligence hands. All in all, Tamil Tigers got wiped out because of their own strategic blunders. I believe that if they didn't assassinate Indian Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi and attack the Indian troops, we would have a separate homeland politically, economically, socially, culturally. We will have a separate homeland by now. They antagonize India, and the Tamil Tigers sent a bomb to Indian Prime Minister, but they actually sent the bomb to themselves. They bombed themselves by bombing the Indian Prime Minister. Strategic blunders. This eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth basis kind of.
Leaves the world blind, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's what happened.
Why did they call you 05?
It is not the Tamil Tigers. It is the Sri Lanka's Directorate of Military Intelligence named me 05 because that's my code name. When I defected and came to the Sri Lankan side, I came with so much of wealth of information, that intelligence, tactical and strategic intelligence, that is so valuable for the Sri Lankan Directorate of Military Intelligence, and they didn't want to call me by my name. They called me by code name. That's when I was code named 05. It's like every intelligence agency named their agents as numbers. So it is an intelligence code name, but I don't want to be a tool of intelligence or tool of any agency anymore. I want to be Kagusthan myself. I believe that the hard power, intelligence, law, policing, military might doesn't work because it repress, it induce repression, more repression. When you counter threats, counter terrorism, when you use
Mhm.
force, everybody using, if you
Force,
only
yeah.
have the hammer, everything looks like a nail. So it doesn't mean that one size doesn't fit all, you know.
Yeah.
When you approach a problem, you need to find a specific solution to different problems. Extraordinary problems need extraordinary actions. At the same time, it doesn't mean that you always approach with the military solution to every problem, you know.
Yeah, it's like, as I've never, I've never heard a story like that before. Like the stories we grew up with learning about Sri Lanka was totally different than what you're sharing with me. It's
Yeah,
like
Sri Lanka,
just
Sri Lanka
another,
is known for tourist sport, and Buddhism is peaceful religion,
yeah,
and it's a paradise island, and that's what people
yeah,
know. But so many people don't know the civil war, the truth behind it, and
yeah,
the trauma behind it, and the cost of civil genocide has been committed on Tamils by the Sinhalese forces, the armed forces, at the end of the war. And you see, in Gaza and Israel, there's always the Western media reporting every day, almost daily basis. But the Sri Lankan war never been reported equally or fairly. You know, it was
yeah, or at all. Yeah.
exactly.
Um, and the fact that it's still happening here. It's like every day that still alive, I find out things I thought were true or not true. It's just a constant, it's just a constant thing I have learned to accept that, like eh, first it causes distrust. You don't trust anything. And
Hmm.
then that actually impacts us as a human because you don't trust yourself.
Right.
It takes a
Because
while it takes a while to, which is actually become my mission, is to learn to trust ourselves, because the apparatus that's inside of us,
uh,
whatever life force is going through, whatever we call it, is still true. It's still there. We've just been so snowed with the information and misinformation that nobody knows which ends up.
yeah,
But we have that inside of us. Do you still feel that inside of you? That
yeah, because
do you still feel a life force or a God force inside of you?
uh, what do you mean by God for us?
Um, a light that shines through all of humanity. That there's something that connects all of us. There's something that
Yeah,
connects us between our stories. We all call it something different, but like, do you sense that within yourself?
yes, everybody go through different path of lives, and everybody have different experience. Accordingly, we perceive the world in a different ways, and I feel as God spared me from these battles. More than 150,000 people died, but I didn't die. I came to Canada. I live with that survivor guilt. At the same time, I feel as there is some. I'm still existing here to do something greater than what is the waste of blood and death and violence. So I
Yeah.
feel like I have a mission to in my life, which is I don't want no youth to go through the same path that I underwent. I set up my non-profit with my daughters, co-founded with my daughters, and the motto of my organization is irreplaceable intelligence. Doesn't mean that it is espionage or anything. It means that how we can approach the same phenomena on the top of the military designation by a hard power measures. I want to turn it into a soft power initiative. you know
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
I want to apply arts, music, culture, sports, intercultural dialogue, intercultural communication. I want to introduce people around the world come in one stage. It's already happening in some part of the world, but it is not enough because we have to introduce school kids and kids at risk. There are so many millions of kids are at risk in the world. Countries like Africa, Asia, uh, even in South America, people are at risk, and these terrorists or criminal elites taking advantage of these innocent kids who have no means of survival, or they don't have an outlet. They are young, and they are suggestible, and they are gullible, and they can easily be molded into anything these terrorist organization, the elite of the organizations wanted them to be. So we have to save these kids. So how do we do that? We have to approach from the bottom up initiatives. It should start with the every human being. It should start from the home, how we bring up our kids, how we educate our kids, how we teach our kids, how we role model them. We have to model your kids in a good citizens. So my point is, I have 3 children. My oldest daughter is 25 years old. She's a lawyer. And the second one is a teaching degree. She's doing a third year teaching degree. And my son is at second year business school. So 3 children. And I relive my childhood that I lost with my children. I started playing PlayStation and chess and with my kids. So I was growing up again in my middle age crisis. I was still living with my son's life, so that I relived my childhood with my son. You know, then I set up this think tank called Project O5 with my daughters, so that I can address the youth, what is the need of the youth. I spoke to my daughters. What do you think? How we can approach this problem for these kids? So they have the best ideas. We are living in a digital information age, and we are fighting for war of ideas. Ideas are important, and ideas what may shapes the world today. It's not the gun alone. Gun doesn't work anymore. It's the pen that builds the future. you know so it is
Yeah.
the soft power. I decided the soft power is what we needed to address, which is arts, culture, sports, music, movies,
Community.
community,
Hmm.
social workers, psychologists, teachers, community leaders. They are the ones has built this kids' future. The kids have no outlets. Our kids have no outlets. Arts education being cut off funding from the schools. So we had to bring out an after school program for kids where they can come and gather instead of going to foreign trap with the criminal gangs or the terrorist gangs. You know,
Yeah.
for an example, in Canada, in Toronto, I was talking to one of my friend. He said a kid came to Canada to study at a college in July, and by December he didn't have job. He couldn't pay his rent. He didn't have housing, and he fall in the trap of the terrorists, the criminals, who offered him $700 per hour to steal cars. So you see, the petty crimes, it starts
Hmm.
at the root causes are the economic powerlessness, joblessness, homelessness. This is what we have to eliminate. If we are eliminating these fundamental root causes, we will have a better society.
We
You
will.
know, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. It's hard to put into words how I feel right now about hearing your story and your resilience of how you're still here and you're still have this in you to share your story, and not only share your story, but what you've taken your story and flipped it and what you're doing to get to the root causes, because it is this, it is that it's these simple things that we overlooked, and we'll fix it someday, maybe, we'll
Mhm.
fix all the other ills of the world. But the reality is nothing moves forward until these things are corrected.
Yeah,
And
the Bible says, Matthew 4.5 or something says, man does not live by bread alone, because the human spirit also needs nourishment, you know.
mhm,
So
yeah, what else
we
is there
had,
until that's done, right?
yeah, we had to basically we had to address the root causes of the problems like poverty, homelessness, hate, racism, ethno-nationalism, religious extremism. These are the fundamental issues that make world into violent place.
Yeah,
We have to address,
yeah,
treat all human beings equally, and address the root causes to solve these problems. And
yeah. And we're like,
that can only be done by soft power, though. It's not the hard power alone doesn't work. I mean, hard power is important, vital to protect nations' interests, but you cannot use cannon to kill a mosquito. You know,
mhm,
Confucius says, "Don't use cannon to kill a mosquito." We cannot use the hammer that has a nail. Everything has a nail. We had to think outside the box, and where each problem has different solution. You know, we had to come up with different solution to each problems. And I believe that today the world is full of violence, and we need to think outside the box and address with soft power, as Harvard scholar Joseph Nye coined the term soft power, hard power, and combination of that as a smart power. And America should use the smart power instead of hard power alone in the in
yeah.
their foreign policy.
It's yeah. It's the first we have to open the door to these types of conversations, and the vulnerability, the you know not turning your head away. There's just
Mhm.
this automatic to like, that's not happening here. Well, it is happening here
Right,
now.
right.
And um we the um the Brandy who just met on the last podcast was talking about this concept of being like a forced pivot, in
Mhm,
life for what she was going through. And
mhm,
in life, I've always known, like, it taps you on it whispers like your
mhm.
gut instincts. It taps you on the shoulder. If you don't listen, then it kicks you to your knees.
Right.
And that, like, I feel the world is at that moment where we're being kicked to our knees, and to like
Mhm,
wake up to see that we're human beings.
right.
Doesn't matter where the hell we came from.
Mhm,
Um, I talk about the spaces where, how we're raising our children, because I grew up
mhm,
in a Pentecostal church, and
mhm,
until I was 11, we were taught to hate or that other people were going to hell if they didn't go to that church. And
mhm,
I had my friends were Catholic, and I stood up one time and I'm like, how can they go to hell when they're like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Explain.
mhm,
No explanation. And I was like, what about somebody in Africa, that how are they going to get to Missouri and to this little church in this little town that
mhm,
has, 800 people, and yet they still
mhm,
have 12 different churches in the little town?
mhm,
And like, how? Like, it just made no sense to me.
mhm.
And I
It's a
I walked out that day and I never went back. And I was like, yeah, this is
It's
this
very
is this is
interesting you
a
talked about Africa, because there are so many children in Africa is undergoing so many struggles, like because of poverty, terrorism, statelessness, powerlessness, malnutrition, many things. At least provide these kids with food and education. Nelson Mandela called us for education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. You know
yeah.
so
Just
at least
realizing
he
that there's
provide them
people
education.
just realizing that there's people in the world that don't want to have a better world
Mhm.
is is not human. It's not human being that I understand human being to be.
Right.
But you're a human being that I understand what a human being
Thank
to
you.
be.
And also, the world is polarized. World is divided into two: global south and global north. The global south, which are countries for like South America, Africa, India, China, in Asia, global south, where there are 80% of the population lives on 20% of the global resources. Whereas in
Hmm.
global north, 20% of the global population consuming 80% of the global resources. Because of
Hmm.
that, world is out of balance, you know, and it is it is the disease itself. The symptom is the migration. Today ICE is fighting all the illegal immigrants. What is the cause of this? Is that in South America there's no resources, people are mobilizing towards the north, and same thing in Africa, there's no resource, they're mobilizing towards the north to Europe. And whereas Indians and Chinese are horizontally dispersing,
Yeah.
the Africans and the South Americans are vertically dispersing. Reason why is because these countries are home to many more people without any resources: war, poverty, terrorism, climate change, depletion of natural resources. There are so many issues there. We
Yeah.
have to bring the world as a one global system. Mahatma Gandhi said the world has enough resources for one man's need, not every man's greed. The world has
Yeah.
enough resources for every man's need, not one man's greed.
Agreed. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so
And it
so we
literally almost is one. It's almost literal like that right now.
right.
Well, thank you for being in the world. Thank you for sharing your story with us and our podcast. I appreciate
It's
it.
my pleasure, Michael.
And just bringing this to light. And even in everything that you went through, you still let your light shine and you still took your identity back and turned it into something. And
Thank you.
that is the true definition of power, period. Soft or hard,
Soft
period.
power.
Yeah. It's just power, point blank. Yeah.
Thank you.
A lot of people don't ever get to touch and never get to hear. So thank you for sharing that with me. And um, yeah, there's just
Thank you
I
for
do I
having
do want to
me.
say to you that I hope it is my wish and hope for you that a miracle comes that you can someday be on this planet and not have that with you.
Thank you.
You deserve it.
It means a lot to me.
You deserve it. And if there's anything out there that causes miracles, you deserve it. Thank you.
Thank you.
When I started this podcast, I was intentional about attracting mission driven founders. And every day I'm blown away by the people that I meet that are mission driven founders.
Mhm. You're doing an amazing job.
Thank you. We'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.
See you.